Well, joining us to talk more about all of this and what really happens next is Representative Marsha Blackburn. She's a four-term Republican from Tennessee. She's in New York today hosting a technology summit that focuses on protecting consumers' privacy. Representative Blackburn, good to have you here on Street Smart.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Taxes, are they completely off the table?
They are off the table. The American people have said we don't want them. There is bipartisan opposition to raising taxes. And what we are hearing from so many is address the spending component of this first and foremost.
But we're coming up against what? This debt load in a little more than a month, the $14.3 trillion limit. The president has said he's willing to kind of give on some of his favorite programs. Why can't taxes be on the table here? I mean, don't we need to do both at this point, spending cuts as well as raise taxes to get out of this hole?
What we have seen from history, if you lower your spending and reduce your size of government, get this regulatory overreach under control, then you're going to see the growth in the economy and the growth in the jobs sector. At the technology summit today, we had somebody sum it up really well, talking about how they didn't want to see more government intervention, and they said, look, at this point, we're hiring. We're one of the few sectors that are hiring. And they're saying, don't start injecting government overreach. There's another component that I think is really important to this, and it is President Obama has basically sold our sovereignty to China. They now own 25% of our publicly traded debt.
It's not just President Obama. This has been long and coming.
I agree with you. I will be fair on that, and I agree with you. Yes, indeed. And what we have to realize, you can't require our children and grandchildren to look at a future where they're going to give up 50 cents of every dollar they earn in order to pay for this debt. We have to address this. We have to get the spending under control. We have to look long-term at what is going to help with caps.
Maybe we need to raise taxes to get out of this hole.
We don't need to start talking about raising taxes while this economy is this fragile and in this shape. Addressing the spending first has to be item number one. Looking at our trust funds, looking at entitlements. Now's the time to put it on the table and work on it.
Representative, if you want to talk about reducing the size of government, reducing government overreach, I think most Americans would agree that fixing the tax code could be job number one. I mean, get rid of the loopholes that Washington puts in there, get rid of all the deductions, flatten out the structure, and just clean up the tax code. Why not take this moment, take this crisis and use it as momentum to clean up this tax code?
Well, and Dave Camp, who is the chairman of our Ways and Means Committee, is going to be working on that as we go through the fall and early next year. That is on the table. And he is working on a proposal that would be revenue neutral. You know, you brought up cleaning up that tax code and looking at repatriation of corporate profits. We hear from so many companies that they would like to do that, looking at some of the loopholes that are there. And so he's going to have his proposal out there. I think there again, item number one, address the spending, define what is going to be a way forward. Now is the time for us to do this.
When you talk about addressing the spending, I mean, talk to me about Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security and these programs, which are certainly a big overhang. Healthcare in general is a big overhang. I mean, are you proposing then cuts here as well?
What we have to realize, Medicare and Social Security are trust funds. The government has first right of refusal on the paycheck of the individuals, and we have to make certain that those that are retiring and are in near retirement, that they're held, you know, that they are held harmless in this process. Also, looking at Medicaid, you know, Carol, what we have heard from the governors is if you want to save money on Medicaid systems, block grant that money back to the states, because the states, and we hear this on a bipartisan basis, they say we can save money on this.
I'm going to go back to taxes, though, because I'm watching what's going on in Greece and other European nations, and many folks say we're not that far away and it's getting worse and worse. You're saying taxes, you can't even bring that back into the equation. We just got a few seconds left here.
Not to raise taxes, and think about the situation with Greece.
Even corporations who have so many loopholes and end up ultimately not paying that much in taxes.
Well, and that's where you get to the tax reform component. But Greece has an austerity plan. They do not have a growth agenda. We need to push America to having a growth agenda.
Oh, we'd all like to see that. Representative Blackburn, thank you so much.
Thank you very
Appreciate your time.
much.
We're back.